Hey, it's Michael Mills again from Business Design Corporation in this, my third video of this series. Just as a reminder, our company's focus is to simplify and accelerate the business systemization process. We assist small and mid-sized companies at whatever stage they're at, whether you have no processes written or you have a bunch of processes documented and you're trying to figure out how to keep them current and get your employees to follow them. We assist you with making that happen. And what this will mean for you is that you'll be able to grow your company with more control and with less effort. You'll have super effective processes for hiring and training employees and a set of management processes to manage them, to hold them accountable to the expectations you have of them and the way you want things done. So I hope the last two videos I've shared with you have been helpful. There are links to them below on this page if you need to go back and review any of the key concepts that I've been explaining on how to write, organize, and implement your standard operating procedures. That said, at this point, you might be feeling like getting your business to be process dependent is confusing and difficult, but stay with me here because you can do this. You just need to give it some attention. And what's going to happen if you don't? Your business isn't going to magically change. Whatever is now will keep on being. Nothing is going to change. So hang in there because it really isn't complicated. In fact, you may have heard me say this before, but I'll say it again. This is not rocket science. It's actually fairly simple. It's just not easy. It's going to take some effort and it's not going to happen overnight. It's an ongoing thing that needs to become an organic part of your everyday business activities. And I'll share how to make that happen in this video. Now, I know you can do this because we've done it many times. We've been helping small and mid-sized businesses, entrepreneurs just like you, systematize their business for more than 20 years. We've seen businesses go from chaos to control. We've seen entrepreneurs find joy again. They've been able to get their businesses to a place where they get to do what they love doing, where the things they don't love doing are being done by someone else who actually enjoys doing those things. Imagine that. And they're doing those things consistently and reliably, just like the owners need them done. I mean, how great is that, right? We have more than 20 plus years of successful experience making this happen. And what this means for you is that we've been able to break it down into basic steps. Remember in the first video, I used the sports analogy of Vince Lombardi and the Green Bay Packers, the idea of let's get down to the basics. Well, we've developed a plan, a 5-step plan for creating your process-dependent business. And I'll get to that later in this video. For now, if you've been following along with the instructions I've been explaining in the videos so far, at this point, you might have some of the basics down. You might have some processes written. It was in the first video that I outlined the do's and the don'ts, basically, how to write a process. And you might have started creating a list of processes organized in categories, what we like to call the 4 key functions. So getting the business, doing the business, running the business, and guiding the business. And this is what I outlined in the second video, that there are really only 4 key activities in any business. If you think about it, you got to get the business, so you got to make sales, right? Then you've got to do the business, which basically means you've got to fulfill the promises that you made in the sales processes. You've got to run the business. This is all that stuff that happens behind the scenes, like hiring, firing, invoicing, collections, backing up your computers, answering the phones. And you've got to guide the business from where you are today to where you want to get to. A business, or at least what happens in a business, is a pretty basic thing. And the other key concept taught in that second video, as you've been thinking about and writing your processes, you want to consolidate all of the process tools, the documents, the spreadsheets, the videos, the flowcharts, the audios, the checklists, all of the elements that correspond to any one process. You want to consolidate them into one process, which will simplify things and minimize the content, and therefore minimize the overwhelm. But you are still going to have a big list of processes, right? And what you've probably found is that no matter how well organized your processes are, and no matter how well they've been named, your people are having challenges finding them if you have processes. And they aren't going to use them if they can't find them, or if it takes a long time to find them. And if they don't use the process you've written, well, what was the point of taking the time to write it? And once again, all that time and effort in getting your processes written and organized, it's wasted. So when you think about it, everyone doesn't need everything. Your salespeople, for example, shouldn't have to search through all of your client fulfillment processes to find what they need. And your bookkeeper shouldn't have to search through the processes that the salespeople need, and so on. You want to be able to give your employees exactly and only what they need to get their job done well. You want to give them the easiest and the quickest path to what they need. It's human nature to take the easiest and the quickest path. So how do you make it the easiest and quickest path for your employee to find just the processes they need immediately when they need them, without having to take all the time and effort to search for them, without having to know the specific name of the process? How do you make them easily available to your employees? As you might have guessed, we have a solution for this, and in this video, I'll address the issue of getting specific processes in front of the specific employees so they have easy access to what they need when they need it, and no excuses to not follow the processes that have been used to train them. Now you can have a quick and easy training plan and a fully implementable employee management system. I want to share with you the concept of how to link specific processes to specific employees to minimize the total number of processes that any one individual in your organization needs to wade through to understand what they need to do. And you're going to need an org chart. Yep, an organization chart. When we're working with business owners to make their businesses process dependent, they're almost always surprised when we ask them if they have an organization chart. They think, what's an organization chart got to do with getting my processes written? So I ask you to think about this. What is an organization chart? Your org chart represents all of the necessary roles in your business. Every box on your org chart has a purpose and as such has a set of responsibilities to perform. And these responsibilities are the processes that will be used to train and manage all new employees hired for that role or position. The processes that you or the employee's manager will hold them accountable to. Can you see how your org chart is critical to getting the right processes in front of the right employees? By integrating your org chart into your business systemization plan, your employees will be able to click on their position and instantly have everything they need at their fingertips. They don't have to be hunting for their processes. You'll use your org chart and your processes in your onboarding process. You'll use them in your training process. You'll use them to manage employees, holding everyone accountable to your big, hairy, audacious goals and your values. I want to share a story with you. We have a saying that for every frustration in your business, it is the result of the lack of a process. This is really important to remember. For every frustration in your business, it is the result of the lack of a process. That if the process were there and being followed, you wouldn't have the frustration. So with that saying in mind, here's the story. A lot of people find us on the web because we wrote this great book. The title is How to Create a Process-Dependent Business. To get the ebook, a person needs to provide their contact details, and then our CRM software sends it to them in an email. And as part of an automated follow-up system, a task is set to follow up with that person and schedule a qualification appointment. I'm kind of old school. I like talking with people. I like hearing about their issues, their challenges. And the purpose of the call is to see if there's a good fit for our services and software. The frustration for me was that lots of these appointments were not being scheduled. Now remember, for every frustration, it's the result of a lack of a process. So I asked myself, do we have a process for this? And the answer was, of course, yes. And then I asked myself, well, who's supposed to be doing this process? And here is where I went to our org chart, where processes are linked to the roles in our organization. And I saw that the ebook follow-up process was linked to the salespeople. So I gathered the salespeople and we had a conversation about why the process wasn't being followed. Well, it turned out that because we were getting inquiries from all over the world, from the UK to Australia, with time zone differences and hours that people were at work, the sales staff, they said to me, man, we're going to have to work 24 hours a day to reach these contacts. So you can see my hand going to my head in a duh moment, right? So we looked at the org chart to see if there was anyone else in the company that could actually make these follow-up calls. Everyone was in the same office here in the United States, and they were all assigned roles for other responsibilities. So we had to come up with a different solution, a different answer. And we ended up creating a new position called the appointment setter, who reported to the sales manager on our org chart. We moved all of the appointment setting processes and follow-up processes from the salespeople and linked them to the new appointment setter position. And then we hired a foreign virtual assistant who was willing to actually make calls during the business hours of all of the different countries where our ebook was being downloaded. We had a process, we had it linked to our org chart, and we solved the frustration by adjusting our org chart and shifting processes around. So your org chart is a super valuable tool. It is a dynamic graphic blueprint of how you're going to achieve your vision, your big, hairy, audacious goals. It is a fundamental part of your strategic planning process, and it will change. And that's why we say it's dynamic. It doesn't just get created and then stuffed in a drawer and filed away. It will change. You'll be making assumptions. You'll be editing it annual as you need to grow. Now, I'm not going to go into great detail here on how to create your org chart. We do have a PDF file on how to do that, and I'll put it below. You should see a button below this video that will assist you in helping you create your org chart. Just know that if you want to create a process-dependent business, to truly achieve business freedom and create the business you deserve, you need to integrate your organization chart, your processes, and your people. You need to link them all together. You link or assign each and every process, everything someone in that role needs to achieve the expectations you have of them. You link every process to that box or role on your org chart. Just look at each process that you've identified and named and decide which position or positions on your org chart need it. Then you will link the employee in your company who's been trained for that role or who's being newly hired for that role to that position on your org chart. You're integrating processes, organizational structure, and employees. Once you've done this, think about what you've actually accomplished. Firstly, you've instantly created position-specific operating manuals for every role in your company. Click on any box on your org chart and a list of all of the processes they need is right there. Secondly, you've created what I like to call complete functional accountability. Everything that needs to happen in your business, all of your processes have been assigned to a box on your org chart. And every box on your org chart has been assigned to a person. Now, if you're a growing business, you might find yourself and others in multiple boxes, and that's completely normal. But your job, when you find yourself in multiple boxes, is to pay attention to what you're doing in one of these positions, presumably the position you're hoping to get out of, with the intention of getting all of the processes linked to that position written. Attention and intention, two really, really important and valuable words. Now, when you're ready to hire someone for that position, you can get out of the box and leave behind all of the processes that will be used to train and manage someone in that position so they can be successful, so they know what is expected of them, and they have the written instructions on how to achieve those expectations. This isn't what usually happens. What usually happens, and you've probably experienced that, is a growing business hires someone when they're overworked, when they're stressed out. They're way behind the curve. They've waited too long and they haven't bothered creating processes, so they go out and find someone as quick as they can. They look at one person. There's no recruiting process. There's no hiring process. There's no onboarding process. There are no training processes. There's no management process. There are no processes for that position you're about to hire. You're too busy. You just hire someone. And 75% of the time, this is what studies show, and you probably know this, 3 out of 4 times the hiring process fails. That new employee either quits or gets fired, and it's incredibly frustrating and expensive for the company and for you, the business owner or their manager. But if you're paying attention while you're in the position that you're now wanting to get out of, and you've created the instruction that someone hired for that position needs, it's easy to train the new employee and get them up to speed faster. It's far more satisfying for the employee, so the hiring process is far more successful. I mean, it makes sense, right? Okay, so let's recap, because even though I've stuck to the basics, we've still covered a lot of ground in this video series. If you watched it in the first video, I told you that to have a process-dependent business, to get out of the chaos and create some consistency, you need to implement processes. And then I showed you how to write a process, the do's, the don'ts, the basics. Then in the second video, I talked about how your processes are often more than just a document. They could be in lots of different formats: spreadsheets, videos, flowcharts, audios, checklists. They end up being stored in Dropbox, OneDrive, Google Drives, hidden away in some complex file structure on the company's file server, or versions, usually older and incorrect versions, are on employees' laptops or desktop machines. Sometimes they're even in 3-ring binders. And you end up with what we like to call SOP chaos. Your process documentation efforts turn into a big and not very useful mess. It's hard to find stuff, and more often than not, if someone goes through the effort of locating a process, when they eventually find it, that's not how you do it anymore. In that second video, I showed you how to address that confusion, that issue, organizing process components under one process name to reduce the total amount of content and minimize the mess. In today's video, I shared with you the value of having a dynamic org chart. I recommended linking processes to the specific positions that need them, and then assigning your employees to those roles or boxes on your org chart to create position-specific operating manuals for every position in your organization. So now you have a bunch of processes, and you have position-specific operating manuals, so employees know exactly what they need to do, what's expected of them, and how they will achieve those expectations. But how do you get all this done? It seems like there's so much to do. Maybe you've even tried this before and failed. If that's how you're feeling, then you need to watch the next video. I mentioned earlier that in our 20+ years of assisting small and mid-sized companies creating their process-dependent businesses, that we came up and created a very simple 5-step plan. In the next video, I'll be sharing with you this 5-step plan, as well as how you can go deeper. I'm going to open up a program, and I'll be taking on a limited number of companies that want to go deeper, to actually get this done in their business, to create the foundation of your very own process-dependent business. In the program, I'm going to walk each of you step by simple step through our 5-step plan. If you're ready to move forward, to get mastery over your business, to transform your business and really your life, then I kind of can't wait to share this with you in the next video. Just so you know, I don't do this program live very often. I'm running one now because we recently came out with a new user interface for our software application that we use in the program, and our previously recorded version of this course is a little bit out of date. The recordings don't match exactly how we do things in the newest version using our software. So I get to do another live course. You should also know that I can only take a limited number of companies. The program it's done live over Zoom, and we offer lots of hand-holding and personal assistance. There is only a certain number of companies that I and my team can handle. We'll have a registration period open for a very specific and limited period of time, so you'll want to check out that next video right away. I'm planning on opening the course registration next Tuesday, and again, I have a limited number of seats available, so be on the lookout for that email. Also, you're going to see a comment section below. Please leave me a comment. Let me know, why are you interested in systematizing your business? Let me know what your experience has been like trying to create a process-dependent business. Are you just getting started? Have you read one of the many books that tells you that you've got to do this, that you should be getting your processes implemented, and you've always wondered how, but maybe you haven't ever done anything about it? Or maybe you have a bunch of processes already written, which we see often anyway, and you're experiencing what we call SOP chaos. Or just feel free to leave me a comment and let me know what you think about this video series, about this video. And until next time, this is Michael Mills saying thank you for watching, and I really look forward to speaking with you again in the next couple of days.